Welcome to Taking Steps. Grab a cup of coffee. We want to bring you really practical stuff. So, if you know me, you know that I am practical. I'll often hear a talk like a talk that I heard last night on mental health, and it's inspiring. But the question is, what now? Like, what do we actually do now? And that's what we want to bring you each month during Taking Steps. Life is a marathon, or as I like to say, life is a climb. And we're always talking about joining leaders on the climb. Well, how do you hike a mountain? Take your next right step. A couple weeks ago, I had the opportunity to climb the mountain here in winter. We've had less snow, but it was still just brutally cold. And there was snow. So it was kind of starting to get in my boots. And it felt like it was ripping my face off at different times. And you're like, why in the world do you like climb mountains? I don't know. I don't get it. But I love it. The fresh air, and it was cold in my lungs. And every step I'm going, why am I doing this? And then I would stop and I would look back at the view and go, maybe this is worth it. I love this. Maybe this is worth it. And I would have the next goal and would head up to the next hill. And then at the edge of that hill, I still was a long way from the summit. I look back, sun was rising. This is worth it. And that's kind of what we want to do here in Taking Steps, is not just inspire you, but give you that next 100 yards that you can take, some practical and actionable steps that you can take. And also, I want to let you in a little bit to my world, kind of a little more than we can do over on H2 Leadership Podcast, although you'll hear some similar themes, a little bit more than in my books, a little bit more than I can with my coaching clients. But today, I want to talk about something that there are different opinions on. In fact, experts have disagreed on which of these is most important. And I want to start with this. I was wrong on this topic. I know that can be a hard thing for us to say, but I was wrong on this topic. And I actually have overemphasized something, underemphasized something else. And I'm going to talk about it today. I'm going to be honest with you today. That is what we do here in Taking Steps. Before I tell you what it is, I'm going to tell you a story. Back in the day, I would look at my goals and I would form my goals because I had to in the beginning of the year. And in January, I would get so excited about what was happening in the year. And I would throw these huge goals up that were bigger than the year before. And I would not look at the goals all year long. And then my supervisor would say, now bring your goals in at the end of the year. It's been almost a year. It's been 11 and a half months since you formed those goals. And we're going to take a look at how you did this year. And there were 2 years in a row, I had not looked at my goals all year long. Yes, I was in my 20s. Yes, it was super immature. But I actually don't think that that's too different from how many people in organizations function and focus and don't focus. And create these huge goals, and then at the end of the year go, what were my goals again? Because we get so sucked into the small and the everyday. And then I started to observe leaders in different spaces, and slowly I started to coach leaders in different spaces and realized, I don't think I'm the only one. This is actually really normal. And we've had this idea that if we set huge goals, they're just magically going to happen. But what actually happened was leaders being beat down by shame and the guilt of not looking at their goals, like I had not looked at my goals, that had not produced the things that they wanted to. And I believe that so much of it has to do with our wrong understanding of two things that I'll call direction and destination. Destination is simple. Let's start with that one. Where I want to be, this thing I want to arrive at, this massive goal, and the thing that I want to do. And it's probably feeling pretty huge. And then over here, direction. These are the habits that get us going there. Every week, how do we break down this big, hairy, audacious goal, or this stretch goal, as I call them, and actually do the things like every day, every week that we're moving in the right direction to know I am taking steps. Like I'm going to go to that next spot on the mountain. It's 100 yards up, take a few deep breaths, look around, and then keep going. And we don't have these rest spots picked out along the way. We have a major issue with goal setting. And the problem is we've seen one or the other. And I want to tell you that I was wrong because I swung the pendulum from these huge goals over here of the destination and eventually saying, well, the destination doesn't matter that much. What matters are the little habits every day. Now, there's truth in both of these sides, but I believe that the essence of maturity is holding tension. The tension between the destination, the massive goal, and the direction, the habits and rhythms along the way to reach that goal, both of them matter equally. We are people of the both and at H2 Leadership. We believe you can be healthy and high impact. But I didn't practice that because I was so beat down and I watched so many other leaders be beat down that I stopped having these massive goals and I started just saying, okay, if we can just get moving. So like somebody in shape or wanting to get in shape. And maybe that kind of the couch to 5K idea or the couch to marathon idea, they want to lose a bunch of weight and they have to start with the little things. Well, let me share a little thing that I do each day, which is a smoothie, fruits, vegetables, protein. I've got my smoothie each day, and that's great. And I've been doing that now for years, and I've got some habits over here, but I didn't have anything huge that I was shooting toward. So again, back to that person who maybe feels way overweight, their energy is low, and they say, I want to get in shape. They need to have those little rhythms and habits, but they also need to picture themselves in a moment. I don't know what that moment is for you. I don't know what that area is for you, but it could be, I want to lose 60 pounds and I want to come out of my swimsuit and feel proud of my physique. I want to step out and deliver that talk. A friend of mine is going to have a TEDx talk coming up here soon. And this is a moment that it is a destination that he has dreamed of. Is it the end? Of course not. But it is a major step along the way. That's not the last mountain that I climbed a couple of weeks ago, but it is significant to look around by myself, a solo ascent in the winter of a 13,000 foot peak. It's amazing. Think of that as the destination, not the last one you'll climb, but it's important. I failed to see that a stretch goal is so important for a healthy and high capacity leader. A high capacity leader who wants to have high impact is going to have something huge to think about, to shoot for. I've actually watched people transform as they're like, I have no idea how, but I'm going to run a marathon. One time I ran a marathon. It'll probably be my last, 26.2 miles. Did it, proved to myself. People say it's addictive, not addictive for me. I did it, proved to myself that I could do it. A whole lot of the training process was boring, but you know what? I needed it in that time in my life. I'll share more of that story later. It was actually in Antarctica. It's a really long story. I worked down there, but I needed that for me as a destination to then pair it with the direction. I needed that stretch goal to say, I'm not sure if I could run 26.2 miles without stopping. And I did it, by the way, no stopping along the way. And what that looked like was every single day after work, after a really cold shift in Antarctica, was going out and running, going out and stretching myself and pushing myself to the next limit and the next limit and the next limit with daily habits. For me, a smoothie in the morning, my regular workout routine, maybe some walks, some steps, it's going to look different for you. What is that in your life? What is that in your business? Let me tell you about one destination that is inspiring me right now. I'm actually going to be hosting and curating a trip that's basically a men's coaching experience this summer to Peru. And my grandfather passed away at 98. And the only goal or dream that I know of that he didn't accomplish was hiking to Machu Picchu in Peru. So at his memorial service, I said, Grandpa, I'm going to hike Machu Picchu for you. And I am en route to that. And this June, I will hike with a group of men and we will stand and look at Machu Picchu, that ancient city. That is a destination for me. And what is happening? Well, the direction of training to make sure that I'm climbing enough mountains, that I'm in shape, that I'm going to be able to do that at altitude with these other men. I'm standing with them in this moment, thinking about that. The destination matters and the direction matters. The stretch goal matters and the habits along the way matter. Maybe someday your business, you want to get to $1 million gross in your business, or you want to have 20 employees, or you fill in the blank. The question is, what's the pathway to that? I've been deeply challenged recently by Dr. Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. Dan Sullivan, legendary coach, getting up there in his years, in his 80s. And they wrote the book together, 10X is easier than 2X. It will blow your mind. It will mess with you. And then Ben Hardy, in his book, The Science of Scalability, goes kind of a 2.0 from that. It's been deeply challenging to me. And I've needed it because we have some pretty big goals, some stretch goals, maybe big, hairy, audacious goals that we as a team are shooting at. I can't share those yet, but I just want to say those have catalyzed this. Standing in Machu Picchu has catalyzed the training process. Wanting to lose 60 pounds can catalyze the person getting off the couch each morning, getting up out of bed early, doing the next thing. What is that next thing for you? And then what's the process you need to pair it with? Maybe you have the thing, you have the destination, and you have no idea how to pair it with the direction. I want to highly encourage you, pick up the Right Side Up Journal. Just type in Right Side Up Journal on Amazon. I use it every single morning. And what it looks like for me is 10 minutes a morning. The roots of my life grow. It focuses me. But every day it isn't like, oh, I'm going to go change the world and knock this day out. It's like, I just need to be faithful today. And I talk a lot about trading winning for faithfulness. And leaders, I think that, sure, we still need to aim toward winning. We have these goals. But if our primary mode is just winning, many times we're going to feel like we're losing. And leader, I just want to invite you to trade me needing to have tons of big goals toward, well, here's our next big goal. And what I need to do is actually pair that with regular practices that probably don't feel like winning to you, but feel like faithfulness. I recently heard of a guy, and I'm actually going to get to interact with this guy who has run 3.3 miles every single day for over 5 years. Think about that, 3.3 miles every single day for over 5 years. He's done some of these in airports. He's done some of these in cities that he's never been in before. Between flights, he's had to do what he's had to do to be able to make that happen. That's him. What about you? What for you are the little habits, and what for you is that big stretch goal? Maybe it's time for a big stretch goal. If you're feeling a little bit bored, if you're feeling like you're plateauing, probably means you need a huge stretch goal. If you're overwhelmed and have no idea how to get there, it probably means you need to work on the other side where you need to have some rhythms and some habits to be able to get you there. Both of those I do with my coaching clients. And I've swung the pendulum in the past, but over the last year or so, I can just say I'm holding the tension well, and we are inviting other leaders like you to hold the tension as well. You know this. You want to climb a mountain, it starts with steps. You want to do a marathon, it's going to start with a training process, maybe even walking before you can run. You want to launch a business, it starts by figuring out the pain points that you're going to soothe and solve. You want to launch that nonprofit? Well, it starts by getting a board established and getting your paperwork in. What is that big thing, and what are the steps to get there? I personally cannot wait to stand with a group of amazing men and look at Machu Picchu and know all the work it took to get here. Friend, we cannot afford not to take our next right steps. They matter, even though they feel like they don't. The roots are growing below the surface. Friends, you are on a journey, but don't forget, take your next right steps.